Hi, and welcome to the Painter's Progress, where I talk about my journey from being a clueless wannabe to becoming a professional game developer and animator. I looked at my calendar the other day and I realized that I've been on this journey, officially, for just over 100 days. I'd say I really got serious about making video games and animations around October 5th of 2025. And now, 3 months later, I feel like it's a pretty good time to reflect on what I've accomplished so far. I've made a lot of really cool Blender models since I started, and looking back at them all, I feel really good about the progress I'm making. But my goal isn't just about making Blender models. And this past week, I decided that it was really time that I finish my first Blender animation. If you watched my last video, you might remember the skee ball project that I started. The idea with this was just to make a short animation where balls would go up this ramp and fall into the holes at the end. It's not really skee ball, but it's inspired by it. In my last video, I pretty much finished the model and started setting up the animation physics, but I didn't finish and I didn't even start putting materials on anything, so this week I really focused on this project and wanted to see what I could do with it. Off camera, I went ahead and made some basic materials for the balls. I was kind of going for a muted pastel-y color palette, but I couldn't figure out what color I wanted the ramp to be. I just started taking an online material notes course on Udemy, which I really enjoy, and I'm learning about using normals maps and adding bumps to things. So I tried doing something like that here to make sort of a felt texture. And then I just ended up making the color green because I felt like it sort of looked like a pool table. For the rest of the machine, I felt like black was a good, safe color, so I made a dark metallic material for that. Something else I had just learned in the course was how to use emission shaders, so I tried giving the ramp some cool neon green strip lights around the sides, and I think that really improved the look of it. I wasn't super happy with how the felt material looked for the ramp, so I tried watching some YouTube tutorials on making an actual felt material using like a hair particle system, but I just couldn't get it to work for me. The angle of the ramp, I think, was messing things up, and also the force object right in front of the ramp was pushing the hair particles down. I don't know. It was all just a little too advanced for me. So I did end up going back to using nodes and trying to make my own felt material using normals and bumps. You honestly can't even see this texture unless you're right up close to the ramp, so that whole process was unnecessary. But who cares? After that, I thought it would look really cool if I added strip lights inside the holes as well. So I used a torus object and sized it down and gave it an emission shader. And to finish the model off, I made these little arrows that you see on like a skee ball machine or bowling lane that help you line up your throws. And I felt like the ramp as is looked too plain. And these were a simple addition that made it all look a little more interesting. Once I placed those down, I thought the model was done. But then I decided that the ramp still looked a little bit too boring, so I thought a wood texture on the side would look super cool. So I tried using an image texture, but again, I couldn't really get the texture to work because of the angle of the ramp. So I ended up making my own wood texture using a noise texture node and bump node. It's not great, but for this, it's gonna have to be good enough. I also added a little ridge to the start of the ramp and extruded the faces at the front inwards, just because I was trying to make the ramp look a little bit more interesting. Once the model was done, it was time to set up the camera. In my head, I was picturing sort of a Tron look with a lot of black and neon colors, but if the background was all black, you couldn't see the base of the ramp. So I set up a light at the side so you could see some of the wood, but it still looked too dark. So I played around more with the background color and nothing really looked that good to me. So I just sort of settled on this beige color. After all, the focus of the video is the ramp and the ball animation, so I guess the background color doesn't matter that much. But this color also made all of the textures of the model very visible, which is important. I also ended up changing the ball colors to resemble pool balls or billiards balls. because it just made more sense with the green felt. And finally, after setting up the camera, I just needed to position the balls so that when I pressed play, all of them would go up the ramp and all of them would fall into the holes. This is supposed to be a satisfying animation, and it's not going to be very satisfying unless all of them end up in a hole. So, unfortunately, this process took a painfully long amount of time. Well, it was only about 20 minutes, but it felt way longer. I was just rearranging the objects so that every time I pressed play, they would all actually go into a hole and not just bump into each other and go off the sides or something. But at last I found a position that worked, and I made sure to save the scene so I would never have to do that again. After that, all I had to do was render the animation. I actually didn't know how to render animations in Blender, so I had to watch some videos to help me out with that. But once it was all rendered and saved, this was the final video. By the time I post this video, I'll probably have already posted the animation as a YouTube short. I think YouTube shorts are a really good sort of low stress way to just put up little animations like these without having to make a full-length video. I think the focus of this channel is always going to be these sort of long-form content things, but if I do ever have like a super short animation like this, I feel like YouTube Shorts is a good avenue for that. Anyways, if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I'm having a lot of fun on this game developer, animator journey, but it's not easy. This literally 3-second long animation took me like 5 hours to make. And between my job and social responsibilities and family responsibilities and other hobbies, finding the time and motivation to actually work on these projects has been really hard. I'm definitely not going to stop though. This is kind of random, but Winston Churchill said, "Never, never, never give up." And I know that's a really simple quote, but I find it to be very inspirational, also especially when you think about who said it. So I plan on never giving up, even though the process of learning all this stuff is super slow and super hard, and sometimes I can feel a little bit demotivated. I'm still at the very early stages of this journey, and I'm really excited to see where it takes me. And if you have your own goals or passion projects that you're working on, I'm sure you can relate when I say that finding the time and energy to do these things, even though they're things that we love doing, can be a bit difficult. But enough of that for now. I hope you enjoyed this video and seeing what I was able to accomplish in 100 days of being on this journey of becoming a game developer and animator. If you have your own goals or passion projects that you're currently working on, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Thanks for sticking around and have a great week. Bye!